Hello, and we're going to be working on lesson 2.11, cone surface area and volume. Please remember to give me your course and section number with all communication. The objectives in this lesson is to define and identify types of cones and their parts, and develop and use the formula for the surface area of a right cone. Here's some of the terms we're going to be using. We're going to identify a cone. Well, we'll do that right now. A solid with a circular base, a vertex, and a curved surface. Kind of, ice cream cone, traffic cone, things like that. And remember, oblique is a cone whose axis is not an altitude. It's going to be leaning. A right cone is whose axis is an attitude. The sector in a circle, it's a region with boundaries of 2 radii and a part of the circle. You'll learn more about that in the LMS. The slant height of a cone is just like the slant height of a pyramid. The vertex of a cone is the top, or actually if you're thinking of an ice cream cone, it's the tip of the bottom. And a lot of what you're going to learn about cones is very similar to pyramids. First, let's look. A cone is a solid with a circular base, a vertex, and a curved surface. So this right here, this is a right cone, so this is going to be my height. This is the axis, it's the height. You're going to need to know the radius of the base. Remember, if you have a diameter, you have to divide by 2. And then there's the slant height of the cone, which is an L, just like we used for pyramids. So when we develop the formula for the surface area of a right cone, to find the lateral area, which is the side, you're going to use pi r L, okay? And when you look in the LMS, they talk to you about finding the area of a sector, and that's where they get this formula, is they're actually finding the area of a sector of a circle. Because when you lay out the cone as a net, the lateral face is a sector. Then the area of the base, we all know it's a circle, so the area is going to be pi r squared. This is just explaining to you what a right cone is, that the altitude line's along its axis line, and then over here, look how your axis is all slanted. So you can't use that as the height. You have to go from the vertex perpendicular to the base to figure out your height. I went ahead and talked a little bit about a sector here. It's a sector of a circle is a region whose boundaries are 2 radii and part of a circle, like a slice of pizza. And this is just an example of a sector. Okay, cone surface area and volume. Find the surface area of each cone and give the exact answer in terms of pi and the approximate answer using 3.14 or pi. And I put you some steps on here. Draw the figure and label it if it's not already done for you, but I noticed most of them that they're already done for you in this curriculum. The second step is to write down the formula. Your third step is to identify the variables and calculate their values, and then finally plug and chug. So they've already given us the figures, so here I've written down the formula. Identify the variables and calculate their values. I've got my radius. We'll see that in this picture they gave me the diameter. They didn't give me the radius. So I'm going to have to take my diameter equals 15. Therefore, my radius is going to equal 7.5. 15 divided by 2. Now if you notice, they gave me the height of this right cone, and I know the radius. So I'm going to have to use that with the Pythagorean theorem to calculate the slant height. So that's what I did here. I said my slant height squared is going to equal my radius squared plus my height squared. And I just put a picture of the calculator up here to show you how I got my answer. L squared equals 380.25. And when I get the square root of 380.25, I get approximately 19.5. Okay? Because I want to put that because it's a decimal and it might be off. Okay? So next I am going to plug and chug. There's my formula. Plugging in my radius, my slant height, and my radius again for the area of the base. Notice I did 7.5 times 19.5, I got 146.25. 7.5 squared is 56.25. Notice I'm looking for my exact, so I'm just going to leave pi there. Bring it along for the ride. Then I add these two guys together. Notice how I went here and 146 plus 56.25 is one way you can do this, but when I put it in my calculator I said 7.5 times 19.5 plus 7.5 squared, got the same answer. You can do it whatever's easier for you. And then I said 202.5 multiplied by pi, and I got that the surface area is approximately 636 meters squared. So here's your answers. And this is as close to an exact answer as we're going to get. I still have the squiggly line here because we are working with decimals. Okay? So that's the end of that problem. Alright, on this one, again, we're going to find the surface area. We're going to give the exact answer in terms of pi and figure out the approximate value using 3.14 for pi. Okay, and remember the steps I told you to take. And this is for any problem, whether it be a prism, a pyramid, a cylinder, cone, whatever. You can use these same 4 steps. We've already got the figure, so we're going to write out the formula. We're going to identify the variables and calculate their values. Remember, all we have in this is R for radius and L for slant height. They give us the radius of 10. We're going to have to calculate the slant height because all they give us is the height of the cone and the radius. We have to calculate the slant height. And I'm going to do this just like I did the last one. I'm going to square the radius. I'm going to square the height of the cone. Put the little picture of the calculator up here for you to show you where I'm getting my answer. Whenever I find the square root of L, I get approximately 18.87. Now that I know my variables, I just get to plug and chug. So, see my pi plugged in 10 for the radius, 18.87 for the slant height. Over here is the radius of 10. 10 times 18.87 is 188.7 pi, then plus 100 pi. I add these two guys together, I get 288.7. And there again, you can either add those together or just multiply the whole thing like I did there. And then to get the approximate value, I just take 288.7 and I multiply it by pi. I get 906.98. I know they said use 3.14 up here, but if you use 3.14, that's fine. It's just easier for me to say, oh, take that answer and multiply it by pi. You're going to get the same answer. The rounding might be different. It might not be 0.98. Okay, the summary for this lesson talks to you about a cone and what it is, talks about the slant height, explains the altitude versus right cone and oblique cone, and then we developed the formula for surface area and we used it. So of course, when you get finished watching this video, you need to read the lesson in the LMS and in the reference guide. Please work these problems in the problem set because they are the best ones that are going to prepare you for the 2.11 quiz. And after you work these problems, if you have any questions, please contact me so I can help you before you take the quiz. And make note of any general questions you may have when you attend CC next Thursday. Thanks for listening.